Could I ask everybody, ladies, gentlemen, I know the foreign ministers are unruly, but the energy ministers really, ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, colleagues, honored guests, a very warm good evening to all of you here. We're really delighted to have you over here at the State Department. We gather tonight in a suite of rooms. You're in the Jefferson room, in the Adams room, in the Madison room, the Monroe room. And this is the Ben Franklin room. You see Ben Franklin over there? And I want to single out my great collaborator in the Iran negotiations, Ernie Moniz, whose hair fits right in with these guys, all of them. I'm getting close. Ernie is my great co-collaborator and now my great, great friend, I will tell you. We spent many a night discussing how we were going to get to the end of the Iran negotiations in Montreux and Lausanne and Vienna. And I really am beyond words appreciative for the tremendous technical savvy of this man who helped us together with Deputy Prime Minister, former Foreign Minister Salehi of Iran to work through technical issues. And I want to just acknowledge that was a partnership effort. And I see our friend, the Foreign Minister of China, Wang Yi here. Chinese stepped up and helped enormously. The ambassador of Russia, who is representing Russia, stepped up and undertook to take the highly enriched uranium and undo it, ship it to Russia, and made other contributions along the way. Our French friends, our German friends, our British friends, this was the P5+1, and Germany made the +1, and we are grateful to every single one of them for the contribution they made, and I thank them for that. Everyone here knows why we've come here together. It's not just because the wine and food is better than the White House. We're here because I look around, I know there are a few of you in here who share this distinction, but increasingly not that many. I'm one of the Cold War babies who grew up hiding under my desk in school because we were instructed to practice how to survive a nuclear war. And then I was treated as a young naval officer to a period of time in nuclear, chemical weapons, biological warfare school, where I learned everything you need to know but don't really want to know about the throw weights and kill ratios and megatonnage and all of the dangers that we lived in that period of time. And when I was a young college student, we came extremely close to the brink of a nuclear war over the missiles that had been moved into Cuba. And we all learned very readily how dangerous this is. It wasn't until we were 50,000 warheads on both sides pointed at each other, Russia and the United States, then the Soviet Union, the United States, with the world endangered in that incredible standoff, that common sense came to Gorbachev and Reagan when they met in Reykjavik, and they said, you know, we're moving in the wrong direction. Let's go the other way. And indeed, we have taken an enormous number of weapons and destroyed them, stockpiled them. And we have gained in our knowledge about stockpiling and how to do it in a safe way. And we have learned how to move in a direction where with the START treaty, we're now 1,500 warheads and reducing. Now, everybody here has come here with the goal, the committed goal, of trying to enhance our mutual security, to make the world a safer place. For some people, that's sort of a slogan. For everybody in this room, it's our daily work. It's what we really do, and what we spend an enormous amount of energy to try to effect. And I think we can proudly say that over the course of the last years, we have kept nuclear materials out of the hands of terrorists and others who would abuse them. And we have begun to move in a direction, as difficult as it is, and we all know it's difficult, to move to a day when nuclear weapons exist only within the pages of history books. Now look, we all understand how difficult that is. When I first heard about the idea, I said, how can you do that? I mean, what happens to deterrence? Where do you go? And can you ever put the genie back in the bottle? And there are a lot of legitimate questions. But one thing I've learned from a lot of courageous people who've stood up, like Bill Perry and George Shultz and Henry Kissinger, and Jim Baker, and a bunch of people who dealt with this challenge for years, who believe the world would be better if we move in a different direction. And one thing is clear, every step we take towards a world without them is a step that will make the world safer, because it means you're advancing in your ability to resolve conflicts. And that's the only way you're going to build confidence in people, that the old rules of deterrence and of first strike are suddenly mooted by a better way to do business. Now, it's a long way away. We all know that. But that's the goal of every single foreign minister here, my colleagues, every single energy minister, and many of you in this audience, including our former Secretary Madeleine Albright, who spent a lifetime working on these kinds of issues. More than half a century ago, when he was proposing a treaty to ban nuclear tests, President Kennedy said, "There is no single simple key, no grand or magic formula to be adopted by one or two powers. Genuine peace must be the product of many nations, the sum of many acts." So we have seen the truth of this statement play out in our collective efforts to be able to prevent the proliferation of nuclear weapons, to ban chemical and biological weapons, to safeguard the handling of nuclear materials, and to impose sanctions on those who refuse to meet their commitments to the world community, to humanity, to common sense. That continues to be the case with this summit here. That's why President Obama is so grateful to all of you for coming here. And that is why I think if we do our work properly, the world can be grateful to everybody here who is part of this endeavor. Unlike some international sessions, these summits are oriented less towards talk and more towards action. In the 6 years we've been meeting, first in Washington, then in Seoul, then The Hague, and now back in Washington, we can actually point to real, tangible achievements in nuclear security. In recent years, 13 countries plus Taiwan have given up weapons-usable plutonium and highly enriched uranium entirely. An additional 12 countries have decreased their stockpiles of nuclear materials. And we have improved security at nuclear facilities and installed radiation detection equipment at more than 300 international border crossings, airports, and seaports. Since 2009, through various lines of effort, we have removed or eliminated enough weapons-grade fissionable material to supply nearly 7,000 nuclear bombs. And through the work surrounding these summits, we have strengthened the international organizations, the institutions, the legal instruments that make up the global nuclear security architecture. The bottom line is that we are focused on the nuclear threat and systemically committed to countering it. Now, I'll just wind up quickly by saying to everybody that there have been times when the progress has been slow, and there obviously remains an enormous amount more to do. But every step forward that we take is a step away from danger. And in many cases, it is a step away from danger that we don't have the ability necessarily to control. Because the last century was defined mostly by state-on-state conflicts. This century is being defined far more by non-state actor actions on states or on individuals. That's an entirely new challenge, but just think what would happen if we hadn't gotten the chemical weapons out of Syria before Daesh emerged, and those weapons were now in the hands of Daesh. Think what happens if some group or another that is willing to blow up children at a playground, or kids in Baghdad the other day who were there to get their soccer trophies. Think what happens if all of a sudden those same people who don't care have nuclear material for a dirty bomb at their disposal. So, my friends, we came here for serious purpose, and I thank everybody for doing that. We have to use this year's summit to build momentum. And we should view the products of this gathering, the progress reports, the concrete actions that we will lay down, as markers of accountability and transparency, as signals of our shared intent to keep advancing global security. A world of 7+ billion people is looking to us to do that. The vast majority of what we do to reduce stockpiles, eliminate dangerous materials, secure nuclear sites, and prevent access to nuclear weapons technology takes place way outside the global spotlight. There's very little about this work that is glamorous, but make no mistake, and I know everybody here believes this, every single part of it is essential. So given the situation that we know about the world today, we know that there are extremists out there who are probing for signs of complacency, looking for that chink in the armor, looking for inattention or sloppiness or corruption. And in this arena, we have to get it right every day, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. If you're a terrorist, you only have to get it right for 10 minutes or an hour or a few hours. So let's make this summit a success. Let's continue the shared task of strengthening our security. Let's maintain our vigilance around the clock. And most importantly, and I say this with enormous gratitude, one of the most gratifying things, we're getting into our last 9 months. As my last 9 months as secretary, everything I'm doing now is measured as a last. And so I just say to you that what has really been the most impressive thing to me is the multilateral energy, the willingness of everybody to come together, work together, pull together in order to achieve our goals. And I am pleased to introduce to you one of those people who's done that, my esteemed colleague, a real-life nuclear expert, and a great leader for the cause of nuclear security on the planet, Ernie Moniz.
Do you have a shorter lectern here with state? Oh. No, that's a joke. It's a joke. It's all right. Oh, there we go. Fabulous.
How low do you want?
No, that's good. That's good.
Yeah?
Thanks. No, that's good, John. Well, thank you, John, especially for your mechanical skills. John referred to our work together on the Iran agreement, and I certainly am going to endorse all of his comments about our partnership there. I would just add one additional note, which is very much in line with John's last comments, and that is that I thought a pretty remarkable quality in that negotiation was the fact that the P5+1 and EU, clearly there are some differences among various members of that group, but the commitment to this issue was so overriding that there was no question about all of us working together in that negotiation and putting those divisions on other issues aside, because this issue was of such tremendous importance. So I think that was also a tribute and to all of our partners collectively that negotiation could go forward. And I think John certainly deserves a lot of the credit for keeping this whole group moving together to address the issues in Iran. Now, John also made some crack about Ben Franklin, so I could go into bicycle riding, John, but I won't. And I'll just add what John said in terms of really being thankful and in some sense overwhelmed that we have such a turnout from countries around the world to come together and to address this critical issue. I'm also pleased to, as John said, to co-host this dinner, especially since he cooked, he'll clean, and he pays. It's really a great partnership that we have. Let me go on to make just a few remarks. President Obama, actually at the opening of the Seoul summit in 2012, really emphasized that we all have to come together at these summits and then after the summits, and quotes, not to talk, but to take action. And these summits, I think, have really led to actions. John mentioned some of them. For example, the 13 countries plus Taiwan that have rid themselves entirely of highly enriched uranium and plutonium. And I might say that we are looking forward to some of tomorrow's announcements in this context. But I'd also say that at the Department of Energy, we have been very pleased to play a role in each of those cases using the trained personnel in our laboratories. But what I really want to emphasize is so many of those activities involve so many friends in this room to accomplish that. And I think that's what we need to keep advancing. Indeed, in terms of these collaborations, I might say that another product of the summit process was a scenario-based activity that we held at our Livermore laboratory in January, going through a scenario of highly enriched uranium falling into the hands of terrorists, bringing out the tremendous difficulties that we would all face as government officials in making decisions in that time. And again, we had over 40 countries. Most of the countries in this room were part of that. And this is the kind of collaboration, again, that we are looking to extend. In terms of specific accomplishments, there are many others: radiation detection systems, countering nuclear smuggling. Those have been developed now through collaborative efforts in over 40 countries. Over 30 reactors previously fueled with highly enriched uranium have been converted to low-enriched uranium or shut down, and over a dozen nations are creating new centers of excellence to improve nuclear security and training. In fact, just 2 weeks ago, I was honored to attend the opening ceremony for the Chinese Center of Excellence. It was a wonderful event, a world-class facility for nuclear security training and technical exchanges, born out of this summit process. And I have to say my Chinese colleagues did an incredible job. I was at the groundbreaking in late 2013 on a windy open field, and in just over 2 years to have built a world-class complex. They have a demonstration of this at the convention center, which would be very, very well worth your time to look at. But again, these are just very, very specific outcomes of this process. But in addition to some of these very specific activities, the summit has also strengthened the international nuclear security architecture. And one example of that is before 2010, there were 25 countries that had adopted the amendment to the Convention on the Physical Protection of Nuclear Material, the only binding undertaking in physical protection of nuclear materials in transport, use, and storage. And today, it's only 6 years. Today, that number is more than 90, and we are on the verge of entry into force. In addition, the process has advanced innovations in the way we do business in the nuclear security community. One innovation is in the way we coordinate within our own governments, I would say, especially between the ministries of energy and foreign affairs. The Iran negotiation is one example here in the United States, but I know that similar, I would almost say cross-cultural discussions, I think are happening in many governments, and I think that this is essential for bringing all of our capabilities to bear in facing the threat of nuclear terrorism in particular. But of course, here we have to think about the road ahead. We all know that this may be the final summit in the current form, although we must continue to work together to ensure global nuclear security. Some of the most important commitments in this area, I think, are captured in the 5 action plans that our leaders will consider tomorrow. These action plans will strengthen key institutions and initiatives of the global nuclear security architecture. And these plans will, I think, also serve to expand the scope of our efforts, helping to improve global nuclear security practices broadly, including in countries that are not summit participants. So, in summary, I think that we have collectively advanced the agenda very substantially in these last 6 years. We know, and recent unfortunate events only highlight the need for us to even pick up the pace more going forward, and I certainly look forward to that collaboration with all of you. Thank you.